Let me read you the beginning of the head notes on the agenda because they fit so well with the song that Sky played for us. We believe that with the appropriate training, attitude, and opportunities, blind people can and do achieve their dreams. Not the diminished dreams of low expectations, but the dreams that come from knowledge, skills, self-confidence, and self-respect. We believe that it is never too late to learn new techniques and new ways of thought. We believe that each of us has a spark of creativity within us, which can be ignited when we come together to teach, to learn, and to dream. The Canadian Federation of the Blind is a movement of blind people committed to the equality and empowerment of blind Canadians. Members work for change, promote the abilities of blind people, and work together to gain confidence and skills. Everyone needs a sense of community. Blind people need this too. We have much to learn from and to teach one another. Our philosophy. We are not an organization speaking on behalf of blind people. Rather, we are an organization of blind people speaking for ourselves. We believe that with the right attitude, training, experiences, and opportunities, blindness may be reduced from a handicap to one among many characteristics. We believe with training and opportunity, blind people can compete on terms of equality with their sighted peers. We believe that the real problem of blindness is not the lack of eyesight. The real problem is the lack of positive information about blindness and knowledge of the achievements of blind people. That, summed up in very short, is our philosophy, and we dedicate that day and all of our work to the achievement of those goals together. The first item on this agenda this morning is organize, which is the theme of this convention. Working together to live the lives we want. And I'm presenting that item. 1968, Dr. Jacobus Tenbroek died. On the 50th anniversary of his death, we commemorate this Canadian-born blind lawyer, thinker, movement leader. By any standards, Jacobus Tenbroek was an outstanding human being. He was a full professor at the University of California at Berkeley. He was the head of the speech department at that university. He wrote books, several of one of which, Prejudice, Law, and the Constitution, dealt with the internment of Japanese people during World War II and laid the constitutional framework that eventually caused the Supreme Court to declare that behavior as the travesty that it was. That book is still studied by constitutional scholars today. His paper, The Right to Live in the World, the Disabled in the Law of Torts, is still the founding document in the terms of legalities of the whole disability rights movement in the United States. Leaders credited with the foundation of the principles underlying the ADA. So Dr. Tenbroek, if there was ever a blind person who could do so, could claim the right to be an elitist. But how did Jacobus Tenbroek spend his weekends? He left his family and his cushy job at the university, his pleasant home on the hills above Berkeley, California, to travel the nation, to go to hotels like this one, to meet with groups of blind people, many of whom were broom makers in shelter facilities being paid 5 cents an hour. And when he met with blind people, none of whom had the skills or the opportunities he had, Dr. Tenbroek said, with great sincerity and profound respect, "It's a pleasure to be here. It's a privilege to be here." Because he understood that beneath the veneer, beneath the surface characteristics and his achievement, that when the public saw him and when the public saw the people who had had no opportunity, the public saw only blindness. And he knew that unless the hopes and the dreams of the blind community could be built, that he was living on very dangerous ground. Across the country from Dr. Tenbrook in the state of Tennessee, there was another brilliant blind student who was invited to attend a meeting of an organization of blind people. And that young man said, "I don't want to hang out with those blind people. They're a bunch of zeros. And it doesn't matter how many zeros you add together, the answer still is zeros. No, I don't want to do that." Most of us would hear about that blind person who didn't want to meet with a bunch of zeros and be resentful and say, "Well, to heck with him, that arrogant so-and-so." But somebody took the time to work with him, to gently educate him to the realities that none of us is an island, and that all of us need to work together. And so that arrogant young blind person finally agreed that he should participate in the organized blind movement. And all of those who had been the victim of his snobby superior attitude took a while to believe that his commitment was genuine. But over time, they came to believe it. That young man was named Kenneth Jernigan. His writing and his philosophy added to the work of Dr. Tenbrook, and it's the body of the understandings that we now share in the Canadian Federation of the Blind and in the Federation movement worldwide. This is the 20th anniversary of Dr. Jernigan's death. And standing together, all of us, we look at their experiences and we celebrate their lives, and we are awed by their contributions, and we desire to emulate their example. Dr. Jernigan, when he first met Dr. Jernigan, Dr. Tenbrook could speak in glowing terms and resounding words, but he could also be quite direct and a little bit pithy. And when he met Kenneth Jernigan, who was still overcoming his arrogance, Dr. Tenbrook said to him, "Why, even the animals in the jungle have sense enough to hunt in packs. The blind ought to be at least as intelligent."
That's true. There's more people like him.
We're looking back on that history, and yes, it was history created in the United States. But because of the internet, because of sharing worldwide, it's a history available to all of us. Canada, all countries have a history of thinking of blindness as a medical problem or as a matter of charity. Let's do something to help them. And as blind people, we have been victimized by the notion that others are in charge of our lives. But unwittingly, that corrosive knowledge has caused us to buy into the notion that they need to figure this out for us. That whoever is in charge of the organization needs to take care of the problems, and we really hope they do a good job. But the Federation is different because we all know that our simple $5 dues buy us a stake in this movement. We know that it is up to us to know whether our property appreciates in value or whether neglect and letting them take care of things will cause it to depreciate so that we become the zeros that we know we are not. I know, I have met most of you in this room. There are some of you that I do not know, but even though I have never met you, I can guarantee that there isn't a zero human being in the place. Each of us has our own contribution, and by coming together in this organization, we pledge to put our skills and our talents at the disposal of one another to build the kind of strength that we alone can build for ourselves. For some of us, that means writing letters to Parliament. For some of us, it means engaging in public advocacy. For some of us, it means the little quiet gifts of giving of ourselves to one another that help to encourage the discouraged, to give hope to people who are frightened about their future, to teach a skill to someone who doesn't have it so that their life will be easier next time, to gently remind one another when we doubt that yes, we are people of value. The Canadian Federation of the Blind is organized to change society, but we're also organized to continue to change, uplift, and build one another. Anyone who has studied the activity on our list for the last year can think of countless times where a blind person has raised a question, expressed a doubt, and has been met with encouragement, with practical suggestions and personal offers of help. That's the Federation. It's our organization. It doesn't belong to the executive. It doesn't belong just to the vocal leaders. It belongs to all of us. It's our job to make our real estate, our property, as valuable as possible. When Dr. Tenbrook was nearing the end of his life, he gave a speech in which he talked about the state of blindness and blind people in the world. And he spoke about Canada at that time. And this is a paraphrase, he said that the saddest and sorriest story of all was that of the country of his birth. An agency colossus bestrides the land, he said. That agency colossus leaves devastation in its wake and has crushed independent spirit, and only a few have the courage to stand up and speak out among the rest of the disorganized blind.
Dr. Ellen, it's 9:35.
Thank you. The things have changed in Canada. There is a new movement in the land. The blind are organizing, standing, living the lives we want, speaking for ourselves, and nothing in the world can stop a people who have come to know who they are. Thank you.